Oh my goodness, it is Friday already. Everybody get in here, hang out. I'll wave at the camera up there. Don't be shy, say hello. Well, hey to you. Oh, my chat is not working. Finally, Friday is being brought to you this week by major spoilers of VIP and Patreon members. You can show your support and help us continue to do all this crazy stuff by heading over to patreon.com/major spoilers. Well, here we are once again on another Friday. And I gotta say, I don't know, I've suddenly lost the ability to use my chat or to do my chat overlays. What's going on here? Oh, it's always something, right? It's kind of the way this whole month has gone. And I can't even send my chat out. Oh well. We'll have a conversation and I will monitor the chat. Unfortunately, I can't chat back to you. But welcome. I hope you are safe. I hope you are well. I hope you are finally happy that it's finally Friday. Yeah, really weird. It's like nothing is working on this. This is crazy, man. Oh, well. Oh, you're having connection issues, Pleasant Doom? I think we are all having connection issues. Oh, where should we start this week? There are so many places that we could go. How about we start with that big AMC Universal Cinemark thing? NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, not the great NATO, who might be in the chat today. If he is, hello. Squirrel Brian is there. Hello, Squirrel Brian. Hello, Geeky Chorio. The one J. Michael T is here as well. Louie is here. Hello, hello, hello. So, if you missed it, during I think it was a earnings call, Universal's CEO, or was it CCO? I forget what his name was. Came out and said, oh man, that Trolls World Tour did so well for us as a premium video on demand movie that we might do more of this in the future. And less than 24 hours later, AMC is responding going, well, we will no longer show Universal movies in our theater anymore. You are banned. No soup for you. They were screaming to the top of their lungs to anyone who would listen. And then, of course, Cinemark came in a day or so later saying, we too say no soup to you. What are we saying no soup to? What's going on? We're not going to get what? We're not going to show Jurassic Park? We're not going to show the new Fast and Furious. Okay, I guess we're all on board for this no soup for you. Now, here's a conversation that I've been wanting to have with you guys for a long time, for several weeks, for almost a month now, but something else always pops up. Something always gets in the way. AMC is in big trouble. Okay? A month ago, they were considering filing for bankruptcy. They said that this coronavirus scandal was killing them, was going to hurt them. There was no way that they were going to be able to get out of it. That they were probably going to have to do, and they were furloughing people. They were furloughing people, and they were, oh, I know why we're having this problem. Okay, never mind. I know what the problem is. Windows, that's the problem. Anyway, they said they were going to have to furlough people. And a month ago, we would have had this very same conversation, at which point I would have said, you know who is probably best suited to buying AMC theaters and using it to their advantage? There were two companies that could possibly do it. Number one would be Disney, because, Disney owns everything. And they do own several individual theaters, like they own the El Capitan there on Sunset Boulevard. If you've ever been there, they do a lot of their premieres there. The FTC, we talked about this it feels like over a year ago, but it was probably just last fall. The FTC has said, yeah, we're okay with studios owning theaters because there's so much competition out there that we could no way, shape, or form get back into vertical integration. And I think I said at the time that, hey, be on the lookout, because I think we're going to see Disney buy some theaters. And so I would have definitely said Disney would have bought AMC had their stock not, kind of tanked. And I don't want to say tanked. It's still over $100 and climbing. But with all the theme parks closing, with all the other problems that they've had with their movie studio shut down, everything else, it seems unlikely at this point that Disney would venture into an area to try and buy AMC. Another contender, which I think is probably a no-brainer when AMC decides to declare bankruptcy or to sell, and believe me, that is coming. What is today? 2020, you say? By 2025, AMC will sell. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Within 5 years, AMC will be bought and sold. Or sold and then bought. Okay? That's what's going to happen. The second contender that could step in and buy AMC is Netflix. Netflix is a company that is primed to buy a theater chain like AMC. And that would really infuriate the North American Theater Owner Association as well as all the studios. Because for years, Netflix has been trying to be considered I want to be considered a real boy. They've been trying to be considered a real studio, and they are. They are making original movies. They're making original TV shows. Only their distribution outlet is very much different than what traditional old school Hollywood says. We don't like this kind of stuff. It's different. We want it to be the way it's always been. And so they've made it very difficult for Netflix to try and get anything considered for Oscar contentions, which does a lot for their own service because, hey, this movie won an Oscar. The only place you can see it is on Netflix. People rush and sign up for Netflix to watch it. It's a win-win situation. The Oscars and the theater owners and many of the big Hollywood elites, the Steven Spielbergs of the world, have said, "Pusha, Netflix is not a real studio." And so they put really big restrictions on Netflix in order to be considered for an Oscar, including having to have at least a 30-day run of their movies in a theater, which means that Netflix has gone to independent theaters. I don't know if they showed their stuff at Alamo Drafthouse or where they were showing it, but they did have a limited window so that they could get their movies considered for Oscar contention. Wouldn't it be a big, giant middle finger to all of Hollywood, to the National Association of Theater Owners, to Steven Spielberg and all these others, to say, yeah, we're going to buy AMC. And guess what? We don't care about your 90-day window. If you want to do video on demand, go ahead and do video on demand the same day that we're going to do it. If the Oscars want us to be having our movies in the theaters for Oscars consideration, that's fine. We're going to make sure that it's in the theaters. And we don't have to worry about 1 or 2 theaters around the country. We're going to have it on 10,000 theaters, 2,000 screens, because we own that. And then a huge middle finger to the studios who think that Netflix is not a movie studio. So Netflix, over the course of the last month and a half, their stock has skyrocketed. They're going to have plenty of money sitting around to where they've got FU money at this point. They have Disney FU money. They have Apple FU money. Now they have Netflix FU money. So Netflix, if somebody's going to buy a movie chain, and believe me, all the movie chains are tanking right now, and not just now this last month, but over the last couple of years, ticket prices have climbed, movie attendance has decreased. And I think if you've watched Finally Friday long enough, you know the reason that the theater experience is decreasing. Because the theaters don't care about you. They care about you buying the popcorn. They care about you putting your butt into the seat and buying a ticket. But they don't care if they lie to you. They don't care if they tell you you're going to be watching a 70 millimeter print of not Hateful Eight, the other Quentin Tarantino movie, Up in the Mountains, in the snowstorm, whatever that one was. They don't care about lying to you and then do a switcheroo, make you pay $20 a ticket, and then do a switcheroo and then show you the digital version of the movie. They don't care. Theater owners don't care. This is where AMC, I am talking to you. I am not a fan of AMC and haven't been for at least 10 years. So there's my bias right there. So people want to say, well, Steven's had horrible experiences with AMC. That's why he's biased. Yes, I've had horrible experiences. Every experience I've had at an AMC theater has been horrible. People talking on the phones, people talking to each other, people chomping their food and making a mess, people kicking seats. Oh, but Steven, that's not AMC's fault. That's the theater. That's the people that go to the theater's fault. Look and see what Alamo Drafthouse does. They have very strict policies on shut your mouth, turn off your phone, enjoy the movie. AMC doesn't care about you. They care about your money. Okay? And now that AMC is in trouble, they decide to stir up the anthill by kicking it over. I was going to say another word. They want to start an S-storm by saying, okay, Universal, we're not going to show your movies. We're not going to show the Jurassic Park. We're not going to show the next major franchise film from whoever it may be, including Steven Spielberg. You're already down, AMC. This is not your fight to win. They wanted to get attention. They wanted to take a private conversation. They wanted to make it very public in a very public way, but they are in no position to say, we're not going to carry your movies if you don't do what we tell you. Because Universal already proved that there's a demand for premium VOD. Now, let's take a look at this from the other side. So personally, I think that AMC is going to lose. I think Cinemark, who came in late going, yeah, where's the fight? Where's the fight? Oh, we're fighting these guys? Suddenly are going to come to their senses. Now, here's what this is really about. This is that window of exclusivity that movie theaters want to ensure that they can make some money. AMC really kind of didn't help their cause in their statement when they were saying we will no longer show Universal movies. In their statement, they came out and said, just remember, everybody, the movie studios made $42 billion last year. The movie theaters only made $25 billion. Does that seem fair? Yeah, AMC, you're the middleman. You don't need to be you don't deserve to make more money than the studios. Of course the studio should be making more money. But let's look at it on the other side. So this all comes back to this window of exclusivity. Years and years and years ago, a little bit of history for you, there used to be a window where a movie could only be shown in theaters. First, it was the first run theaters, then your second run theaters. Those would be your dollar movie theaters, and then your drive-ins. And then they could show those movies on aeroplanes, talking like an old guy myself. Get one of them fancy aeroplanes from the JetBlue. And then after that, it would go to premium cable, HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, like that. And then after that, then finally it would trickle down to over-the-air broadcast channels. This is why it was a big deal when Star Wars finally came to whatever channel it came to. I think it was ABC back in the day. Because this is the first time it had ever been seen on TV. 10 years later, it's finally making its way through the system and can be seen on normal television. All the normies who can't afford cable can go and see this massive television, or this massive movie. And then something called videotape entered the market, and that caused all sorts of problems. Number one, because people could tape things off the air, but there's another question. There's another discussion that we can talk about another time. But it really impacted the movie theaters, because the movie theaters was like, okay, listen, we need at least a year between the debut and before you offer it on VHS. And at the beginning, because nobody really knew what this new technology was going to be about or how disruptive it was going to be, everybody was like, sure, we can agree upon this. Of course, I'm sure the premium cable and the over-the-air people saw problems with it, because now here was going to be a disruptor disrupting their abilities to make money, but there wasn't that much of a big deal. Airplanes, boats, those kinds of things, no big deal for them. They really weren't in a position anyway. It's just another perk of flying with those ever-increasing airline tickets. And then the window kind of got a little shorter and a little shorter and a little shorter until, I want to say in 1989, if my memory serves correctly, a little movie called Batman, directed by Tim Burton. You guys all know Batman, don't you? And Warner Brothers was like, this is a hot movie. We want to get this movie into people's hands by Christmas, which means we need to sell it in like October and November. This movie just came out. It's going to be like 90 days instead of a year or 6 months. And I want to say maybe it was even shorter than 90 days, but I'm pretty sure it was 90 days. And the movie theaters, boosh, just blew up. Oh, how dare you, how dare you, how dare you. And Warner Brothers even made it even more complicated for everyone, because they're like, yeah, we're not going to sell this movie for $100, which is another thing that the theater owners were like, okay, fine. You can rent your movies, that's fine. But people aren't going to buy $100, pay $100 for a movie. I paid $100 for a movie. I paid $100 for Raiders of the Lost Ark. I loved that movie so much when I was a kid. Warner Brothers came out and said, yeah, we're going to sell this for like $19.99, $29.99, whatever that price was. An outrageous price at the time. And people just bought that movie up, and it showed that narrowing that window, especially if the movie is super hyped in the theater, means that people are going to be interested in buying that the minute that it dropped on VHS. And now Laserdisc and Blu-ray and all the other things that have come after that. So this is where this argument comes up. The theaters still think that they deserve some exclusivity so that they can make as much money as they can. And hey, it's capitalism. I agree. People should be able to make as much money as they can. It's not a right that you get to make money, right? I know some people think that it's a right that you get to make money, but you only get to make the amount of money that you deserve from what you're offering. So if you're offering a horrible movie-going experience, then I don't think you should be making money. I don't think you should be charging $50 for food if I'm going to have to sit there and listen to people smacking on it during the movie, if I'm going to have drinks spilled on the floor and my shoes turn sticky, if I have to listen to people talking on their cell phones and to one another during the movie, yeah, I don't think you should be making money. What I am paying, I am not getting a quality service in return. And I think that's what it boils down to. And now theater owners are worried that, oh my gosh, if that next Avengers movie comes out and Disney decides to release it on premium VOD, we're not going to make any money. And I say that's fine. But you're not in a position right now, AMC, to say, do what we tell you to do. Now, here's the interesting thing about all this story. Universal was like, you guys didn't really read our statement that we said. You decided to select different bits and pieces of this for your own publicity and your own talking points. They said that the success of Trolls World Tour would mean in the future they will look at films and decide that some of them may be better served premium on demand. We used to call that direct-to-video. Or if anybody wants to play along and get it in the theaters, that's fine. I'm pretty sure Trolls World Tour would not have done, even if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, Trolls World Tour would not have made $340 million in the theaters. Might have gotten close, but probably no cigar. The $100 million that Universal made in the premium VOD, PVOD, is basically 100% profit for them. And I know that you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, $350 million for the first Troll movies, $100 million for Trolls 2. How is that a good thing for Universal? Okay, so first of all, whatever you think the final budget is of a movie, double it, because then you have advertising campaigns that have to go with it. Then take about 30% of whatever that movie makes, and that is how much the theaters get in the long run. So let's make it easy. 300 million minus 30% is, what is that? 30, 90, is that almost $100 million? Yeah, that's $100 million. So that's $200 million that then goes back to the studio. If the movie cost $100 million, they're barely breaking even in that case. But if you're printing an advertising campaign, went up in pipes, if you're not having to worry about the 30% that you have to pay the theater owners, then that $100 million is pure profit for you. But Universal didn't say we were going to take all our movies and put them on premium on demand. They said some of our movies, something like Trolls World Tour, probably would work great there. Other movies, like the Fast and the Furious 9, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, whatever it's called, this next one, Dominion, probably would work better in the theaters. They're not saying, let's just put this in Disney's perspective, Disney is not saying, yes, we're going to make our next Avengers movie an exclusive premium on demand. No, that would be a bad idea. But maybe they're going to look at some of their movies. I mean, we already see, what is it, the Sub-Harry Potter book, that movie, is already going to VOD. That Scooby-Doo movie that looks like crap, going to VOD. Those are the kind of movies that these studios are talking about. And yes, when this is all done, and when the negotiation is all done, because I'm sure that AMC is there like, we're not going to show your movies anymore. I'm sure by the time this is all said and done, AMC will come forward and say, okay, well, I guess we'll show some Universal movies. And Universal is going to say, guess what? That window is now closed for that window of exclusivity. We're going to make this smaller, maybe 30 days, maybe less, maybe 60 days. And AMC is just going to say, okay, well, I guess if we want to make all this big studio money, if we want to make the $100 million, if we want to make our $25 billion next year, then I guess we better play ball. And Cinemark's probably over there going, yeah, I think we better play ball. Because it's the theater's battle to lose. And I've said that earlier this week. So I've kind of rambled there for just a minute. Let's see, what are some of the movie theaters? What movie theaters? That's true. They will show 007. I'm sure that they will. Everyone with streaming service is going to come out strong. I believe the early earnings for Disney Plus is through the roof, higher than expected. That's why we saw a jump in the Disney numbers this week. They do serve the loudest food possible. I think they should serve soggy popcorn, right? Soggy popcorn. But see, here's the thing. Malone says it's like the smallest kid in the sandbox started kicking other kids' sandcastles. It won't end well. The problem is that AMC is the largest theater chain in North America. Problem is, they're not the only theater chain in North America. And this is why the Cinemark jumping on board, which I think Cinemark is the second largest theater chain, that's why them jumping on board is also kind of important. Because if there is going to be a battle, it needs to be a united front, right? All of the theater owners in the country need to say, we all agree not to show Universal movies ever again. At which point, then they might have a line in the sand that Universal might not be willing to cross. But I think there's going to be small independent movie theaters and others that are just like, all right, if those guys aren't going to do it, here's our opportunity. That's a great thing about capitalism, right? Here's our opportunity to make some money. Yes, Universal, please, we'll take all the movies that you got. And if those other theaters won't show them, if they're not going to show the next Jurassic World, then people will come to my theater. So that is where AMC is in the losing position. That, and plus they owe $500 million to a South Korean investor who apparently bailed them out. By the way, I said 2025 is when you're going to see AMC be sold. By 2025. All that money that they owe comes due in 2025. Think about that. And they're complaining every year. The Theater Owners Association have been complaining about, our numbers are going down. We can't make money because the studios aren't putting out any good movies. Our money, sales are going down. We're going to have to raise our ticket prices. We're going to have to raise our concession prices. AMC just in a bad position. This was not the time to start a public fight. Especially when, from the feeling I get on the internet and from the Twitterverse and the blogospheres, Forbes magazine, Motley Fool, just about every site that has an opinion about movies have all said, quit trying to flex, AMC. You're not in a position to flex. Sit down and take it. Movie theaters are the middleman between the actual customers and the people who are actually making the product. And I know we could all sit there and go, yes, pshaw, yes, movie theaters, what the heck are they thinking? Let's take a different approach to this. Let's take a look at a company like DC Comics, or Alterna Comics, or Archie Comics, or Action Lab Entertainment. 4 companies that have released new comics as either digital firsts, or in the case of DC, going through another distributor. And oh, the pearl clutching and the hand wringing that is going on from both the comic stores and customers saying, how dare you release something digitally first? How dare you go around Diamond? And some stores have said, if you're going through these other distributors, we will never shop. We will never buy another DC comic again. All right, AMC, shut the F up. Because if I come into your store looking for a DC comic and you don't have it, guess where I'm going? The store that has a DC comic. Comic shops are not in a position right now to be putting demands on the comic book industry. Yes, they can say, yes, we would like for you to do these kinds of things. You know, some idiot stores, stop making comics political. Guess what? All comics have always been political. Stop with all the variant covers. Hey, variant covers sell. You're the... Stop making variant covers. How about you, the comic book shop? Stop buying the variant covers. It's that simple. We, the comic shops, think that window for digital comics should be extended to like a week or more. Make those digital comics come out a month later. Give us the exclusivity. That ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry. Comic shops, you are not in a position. Diamond is not in a position. Notice Diamond didn't come out and say, we're very disappointed. We're very disappointed in DC for going to another distributor. They haven't said that because they know that DC means money to them. Diamond has come out and said, no, we're still working with DC, of course. You want to order DC comics? Then yeah, we'll get them to you, no problem. Diamond's not in a position either to say, how dare you go? How dare you? My back is turned and suddenly you're with someone else. Diamond's not in that position. Because DC is like, we've got other distributors. We can get comics out no matter what. Movie theaters are the middleman. Comic shops are the middleman between the product and the customer. And I think that's what they're forgetting. Comcast owns Universal and VOD platforms. It's a win-win-win for them. Company that owns 70% of the Friends movie theater is owned by AMC. Oh yeah, there you go. Can't wait for them to go under. Oh, Finland's. I thought it said Friends. Got to get my eyes adjusted. My city used to have 3 good movie theaters. Now we only have 1 crappy corporate one. It's a lot of retail space, too, that can't be reconfigured easily for another business. Malls are being torn down left and right. Buildings in America don't last very long. If there's a building in America that's over 100 years old, it is because it's for some historical purpose or a church or something like that. But your common businesses, you know, your AMC theater, your AMC standalone theater, in 50 years, that building's not going to be there because either AMC will be gone or change in size or be abandoned. Or someone will say, hey, we need to build a bigger theater, tear down this old one and put something else in its place. Things like that don't happen. They don't have long-lasting architecture in the United States anymore. So retail space, there used to be up in Johnson County over by Overland Park, there used to be a huge mall. I forget what the name of that mall was called. But it's basically trying to emulate the Mall of America, but at a smaller size. It was a huge mall. I went there once on its decline because people weren't going to the malls anymore. 3 years ago, we were doing soccer, and we pulled up to the hotel, and I was like, why is there a big empty parking lot over there? What used to be over there? And then I realized, oh, that's where that giant mall used to be. Razed to the ground. Metcalf Mall, a mall that I used to go to as a kid, shut down like 10, 15 years ago. I mean, probably around 15 years ago, back around the time my wife and I got married. Shut down. Only the Sears Anchor store stood there for a long time. And then suddenly they knocked down the portion of the mall that wasn't Sears. And now Sears is gone too. So AMC theaters being empty, yeah, if they can't find people to fill it, guess what'll happen with it? It'll just be torn down. DC, comic book shops, and I've said for the last couple of weeks, comic shops, if you don't want to carry DC Comics, don't. You're going to fail. And comics shops that are worried that digital comics are going to take away their customer base, they deserve to fail. They deserve to close. Why do people want to come to your store? Why do people want to come to your movie theater? Why do people want to come to your restaurant? It's because the service that you offer, it's the experience that you are giving them. Those are the things that are going to make those customers come back and again and again and again. And if I come into a comic shop and it smells like urine, and believe me, I've been in many comic shops that smell like urine. If I come into your comic shop that smells like urine and my 5 minutes of browsing infuriates you enough to tell me, are you going to buy something? If not, please leave. And that has happened more than once. Then yeah, I'm going to leave your comic shop and I'm not going to come back. And I will be one of the many that have that same experience and that same attitude, and I will leave, and they will leave as well. And the next thing you're saying, it's the publisher's reason why I can't get people into my store. No, it's you. It's you, AMC. It's you, comic shops. Okay? Think about those things. Fix yourself before you wreck yourself. Is that what it is? Oh, no, check yourself before you wreck yourself. AMC reported that 35% of revenue goes to rent to mall owners. Not a surprise. Not a surprise. I have looked at, and especially at these malls that are like standing empty. I have actually looked at the prices of these malls that are standing empty, or mostly empty, just to see what a little storefront place would be. And it is outrageously expensive. And you would think that with your facility half empty or more empty, that you would be offering great prices as an incentive to bring people into your mall. But it's actually a better tax deduction, right? You can just say, well, I lost all this money. And that's a tax deduction for all the other, conglomerate monies that you're bringing in. Don't get me started on comic book shops, says one J. Michael T. Or J. Michael T, sorry. The one I supported closed, so I went online and searched for a new one. Wow. They need help with their online presence. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I had when I lived in Atlanta. We're out of time, but that's okay. I don't have to pick up kids because, hey, kids are home. I had multiple comic shops in Atlanta when I lived there. Of course, there was the Oxford Books. And I think Oxford Comics is still there, right? Isn't that the name of it? They may have changed it to Peachtree Comics or something like that. But it used to be in the old Oxford Comics books. And the cool thing about the Oxford Comics, the Oxford books, was that it was an experience to go in. All the little nooks and crannies and the shape of the store. You turn a corner and magically a door appears and there's the Oxford Comics that you can go into and browse around. Yeah, Oxford Comics still around. They're on Peachtree, one of the many Peachtrees, or Piedmont. I forget which one it's on now. I think it's Peachtree, down in Buckhead. Or it was in Buckhead. Even when they moved, that was a nice place that they had. The people were always friendly. And even with the large number, and I was there for 5 years, going to that same comic shop every week. And there was an old guy with white hair, ponytail. I never learned his name, or I don't remember it now. But, I'd come in and got a pull list and things. And after a year or so of me coming in, he knew who I was. Oh, hey, remember that comic you were looking for last week? I found it. Or, I see you're buying these comics. Have you thought about this? Making a nice recommendation. Not looking at me with like, I can't believe you're buying Image Comics, dude. And certainly not berating me for coming in and finding nothing that I liked and said, well, I guess I will see you next week. They were always welcoming in that store when I was there. Then there was one north up by the, not the Marietta Mall. Cobb County, no, what was the small Cobb County Mall before the big Cobb County Mall opened up? There was a comic shop just down the street from that I used to go to too. It's a little bit more crowded. Getting help from them was a little bit more difficult. I think they closed. And then there was another one that I went to, and I'm almost positive that one is closed now as well. But it was the experience. It was the experience. And it was the welcoming people into the room, just like we welcome all of you. Find people into the chat every week. Nightbot is in there. Hey, Nightbot, what have you got to say? Oh, quick reminder, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you have free Twitch subscriptions. You can click the purple button at the top of the page and directly support Major Spoilers. That's right, you're taking money right out of Jeff Bezos' pocket. Jeff Bezos, the reason why Oxford Books had to close down. I don't know, 1J Michael T, is the old Oxford Books building still there, or have they torn that down? My guess is space, that real estate in Buckhead is so premium that old wooden building is probably long gone. The original Oxford Books. That was a great place. So there's AMC and Universal. It's a fight for AMC to lose. I'm sure there will be negotiations, but AMC is in no position right now to pass up Universal's money, or the portion of Universal's money that they get to keep. And I'll make a bet right now that by 2025, AMC has been sold to someone else. And I would say that someone else is probably going to be Netflix. So we got 5 years. The clock's ticking somewhere from 5 years from now. Hello, future people. One of you, please contact me and let me know if I was right or wrong. But that's just the way that I see it. Okay, it has been another week. And this is the week that almost broke me. This is the week where a month of stress being built up between all of the activities that I have going on, as well as having kids at home, not being able to go outside and exercise, not being able to do all these things because there are too many balls in the air here at Major Spoilers and with me. This was the week when I came into it, because over the weekend I did like a 40-hour project in like 3.5 days. So I could get some online kids some learning. I didn't have to do it, but I did. It was 40 hours worth of work. Hopefully they appreciated it. But by Sunday night, I was like sitting in that burning room, trying to drink whatever's in my mug, saying, this is fine. Everything's fine. Or I was curled in a corner going, shivering, crying. It's going to be okay. Almost lost it this week, says Squirrel Brian. Here's the solution. Because I haven't been able to get outside. Fortunately, my wife had the day off today. So I was able to get out and do some exercise today, finally, after about a month and 20 pounds. I definitely put on the COVID-19 over this time period. But I was able to get out. That was number one. That was a big help. But something else about the time this started, and I knew that we were going to be staying at home and things could get really bad. I said, you know what would be kind of a good way to maybe get exercise at home now that we don't have treadmills and bikes? Because, hey, we decided to go and switch to a gym membership. Smart thinking there. But I said, I hear great things about all these people having fun in the world of VR. And I said, maybe this will be a chance for the kids to have some fun. Maybe everybody can do some first-person shootings type stuff. I see some really cool things with that Beat Saber that looks like good exercise. And so I put an order in for an Oculus Quest on the recommendation of Scott Johnson and Brian Ebbett, who both have the Quest and both highly recommended it. I'm glad I waited, because I was going to get one of the previous versions, the Hive or one of those other VR systems. But when this one came out, both Scott and Brian spoke highly of it, and over the course of the last 2 months, Scott and I have been going back and forth, talking about what he likes, what he doesn't like, etc. And of course, right around the time that the stay-at-home orders were given, that meant that nobody could get the Oculus Quest. So prices went through the roof, and I probably paid way more than I know I paid way more than what it's worth. Probably twice as much, and that's what you're going to pay right now. I went and looked. Prices are about twice the original cost, or the SRP, of them. But I ordered one like 3 weeks ago, and it finally came in. I got the Oculus Quest. Okay? And I had a chance to try it out the other day. I put it on, went through the tutorial, and just the tutorial itself, for those of you that have the Quest, I was giggling. I was laughing. You're throwing paper airplanes. You're shooting rockets. There's some first-person shooter games where you're picking up these virtual these virtual guns with your hand controller and, you know, shooting things. I was having so much fun just in that tutorial room. For those of you that have done it, you know what I'm talking about. You know, there's a virtual table in front of you where you're picking all these things up. At one point, I could tell that this could be very dangerous because at one point I dropped something in front of the table and I went to lean on the table to look over the virtual table and I almost fell over because there is no spoon. There was no table. I did try the what is it, Beat Saber. I'm really out of shape. The COVID-19 really, those 19 pounds have really hurt me. So I'm working up to that. But my youngest has been saying for the last, I don't know, 16 years, how much he loves fishing. The one time that he went fishing, he really enjoyed that. And how much he wanted to do fishing again. So I was like, okay, look, if these guys are going to stay home and they're going to be inside and they're not getting out much, the least I can do for this kid, because I'm not taking him real fishing, I'm going to get him this virtual fishing simulator. But, of course, this thing's been sitting around for a week. Neither one of them have noticed it. I'm going to try this virtual fishing simulator just to see what it's about, to see if a 9-year-old will be able to figure this out or not. And I went and played in the virtual fishing simulator, and oh my God, I found it so relaxing. Not because you're catching fish, but because of the environments that you are in. You're beside the creek and you're hearing all the noises, nature noises. You're inside your fishing lodge and you're just looking out at the night sky. It was super relaxing. And on a week when I was going in about to break down and have a freak out, the VR virtual world saved me. Now, I love this so much that I instantly went and bought some meditation games or some meditation apps to put on the Quest, where they just put you in a VR world. Some of them are like guided meditations, like breathe in, breathe out, that kind of stuff, which is fine. I've done that stuff for years. Some of them are not so good as far as the animation that they're putting you in, but it is kind of nice and relaxing. But just to be at that shorefront fishing, and yes, I did catch some fish. It's a couple of rare ones. I built an aquarium. But that experience of just being able to sit, I think for 30 minutes, I just went out onto the deck of my lodge, and I just sat there, listened to the sounds, and looked up at the sky. It was so relaxing. And so if you can afford it, because again, these things are super, super expensive, check out some of those VR apps. Check out some of those VR goggles. I'm a big fan of the Quest now. There's one problem with it that I have to work on because of my glasses. I don't think I have it mounted correctly because it's like pushing down on my glasses and it hurts. So I have to do without the glasses, which, you know, for an old man like me, that's kind of hard to see all the VR stuff. So I'm going to work on that over the weekend, see if I can get it adjusted just right. But oh my gosh. Whew. Breathe out. Breathe in. That really relaxed me. So by the time that we roll into finally Friday, I'm in a much better mood. And I hope that you're in a much better mood as well. I know that there are places in the country that are starting to open back up. Please use caution. Georgia's been open for a week and they already have 1,000 new cases. Please be smart. Please social distance. Please don't touch other people. Wear a mask in public. Got a funny story about that. The masks that we have at the house are too small for my face. So I'm walking around with a bandana around my face. Feels good going up to the bank, going into a grocery store with a bandana on. But be safe, be well. Find some time to just get out and walk if you can. Social distance and you can do it safely. It totally changes your mood. And if you can't, get a VR system. It'll totally change your mood. And if you can't do that, we'll come back next Friday when we will talk about the week that was and hopefully find out what happened between AMC and Universal. Marvel's going to start shipping comics on May 27th. That seems to align with the Diamond timeline. Come back next Friday. We'll sit back. We'll have some fun and talk about the week that was when it's finally Friday. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Oh, thank you all the patrons. Thank you all the wonderful people around the world. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. Do have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Hello, Zoe Brings Bacon. Ingrid lives out of town right next to a bike path. That's always a good time. J. Michael T. My 4K TV screen with surround sound and exclusive bathroom facilities at home is much better than a $100 trip to the movies. I agree. Oh, that's what happened to Buckhead. That's where I used to work. That's how I knew about Oxford Books. Is literally down the street from my office. Malone says pretty much everyone around here has a boat with a lake within a 15-minute drive. Fishing and drinking at the cottage is actually the subject of our talk. Good. I don't like fishing. Have a great weekend, you all. Do good, be good. We'll see you later.